I'm Candace Herman, Niswonger coach, and I'm here with Debbie Powers at Nolachuckey, and she's going to talk to us a little bit today about personalized learning for our kids and what it might mean here at Nolachuckey. Debbie, will you start us out just telling us a little bit about your plan?
Books brought in, that was my number one priority, to try to meet these kids where they have a real need, and also interest wise and for buy-in. We live in a digital world. Kids are on their phones all the time. They relate to that digital format. So by going to Google Classroom, I was able to kind of motivate them a little more.
And I know there's a real push in our shared district in Greene County that we're really wanting to go one-to-one. I don't know if you know a whole lot about that. Do you have any thoughts on that? Like, does it play into that idea of just the digital world in which we live? Like, why are we wanting to push towards the option of going one-to-one?
Well, the option for one-to-one gives students equal access. But it also allows us to, if we do eventually go to Google Classroom, if we move from school to school, the formats are all the same. Hopefully, eventually, everybody will be about the same place in, say, a novel or in whatever they're working on within the classroom. So there's not a lack or a missed standard when a student moves from one place to another.
Okay, and I know that's something that we've talked a little bit about. I've heard that conversation a lot with like our transient population with our kids. We want to make sure that wherever they are, that they're still, like you said very well, having equal access to all of the materials. And I think you've done just an exceptional job. I know you're so humble, but I think you've done just such a great job of trying to make all of this available to our kids, regardless of the background, however they come to us. And so we might talk about a couple of those things. So maybe we could talk about some of the products that we purchased, and you can reflect with me on that and think about, is this something that you would recommend to another school that might have the same demographics, or upon reflection, are you like, probably we could have spent this elsewhere? What do you think about the products that you've purchased so far?
I'm thrilled to have the computers. I think that you can't go wrong by offering that technology to schools, especially schools like ours that don't necessarily have the funds to provide everything like that. The classroom libraries was absolutely wonderful. Being able to get newer books, new books with the interest, meeting the kids where they are. We also purchased News ELA. It's a great source. It has questions to check their comprehension. I think in retrospect, I may have tried to search out some more free options, because there's a lot of options out there for those things without having to use the funds for a paid prescription.
Okay.
So.
All right, so your situation here is, again, you're a very tech-savvy teacher, and you're aware of some things that we could use to maybe best maximize those funds elsewhere. Like, it might still be a really good program for some other teachers, some other schools interested in it, but you guys might choose to allocate your funds a little bit differently in the future. Okay, thank you for sharing that with us. Move on, and we're thinking about other ways that we can support each other as we support our students. One thing that we're asking lead teachers to reflect upon is the role of the coach. Like, if they have a coach like myself in different schools. Some schools have had coaches before and they're familiar with that role. For some of us, it's brand new and we're not really sure what are the parameters of that. So if you could, can you talk to us just a little bit about how you and I have worked together, or different things that you have felt comfortable asking me about?
Well, I felt comfortable. You've made me feel absolutely comfortable asking you anything that I needed.
Great,
and I appreciate that. At the beginning, I was a little overwhelmed with the new novels, and we didn't really have a firm curriculum, and you helped me with that, getting resources together, setting up some stations. That was very helpful as well. Kind of gave me a pattern that I could go in and put my own things in and personalize it and reuse it over and over.
And you did great with that. You mentioned earlier, you're a fantastic innovator. If we can just give you the outline, the basics of it, you can personalize it for your kids. It's just sometimes teachers, we're busy, and you need just a little bit of structure and a little bit of support to go in there and, in fact, personalize it for your kids. And so that might fall under that realm of competency-based progression. And all that really is we're making sure that we are focusing on our standards, but we're doing it in a way that allows our kids to move naturally through it at whatever pace. And you've done such an amazing job of that with your stations and with other aspects as well. I know you and I have worked together a lot in the digital component, and you have taught me, you're so gracious to give credit, but you have taught me honestly so much about Google Classrooms and so many other platforms and formats that we can use with our kids. And so that might be something we talk about later with building leadership capacity, because as we're thinking about our plans, we can modify them, to reflect our need as it changes. So that's something for us to think about. Is there anything else that you would like to add with regards to your plan? Like, as you're thinking about the plan overall and our next moves, what would you like to see with regard to our next steps with this plan?
I will definitely continue utilizing Google Classroom. In New Zealand, I wouldn't say that that's not a viable source. I just felt like for me personally, I could find other things, but it does have some the ability to level the text, which also allows you to differentiate for different individuals in your classroom and meet their needs. For me in the future, I would like to have some flexible seating for my students so that they can go to different areas and work, and they're still continuing maybe some station work or reading or different things like that in the classroom. I think that would be something they would enjoy.
And if I can just build on that really quickly, we mentioned earlier, even though the way we chose to allocate funds with this initial rollout in your plan, we didn't spend in particular on you've done a really solid job of personalizing in the digital space for your kids with regard to the way that you have your Google Classroom set up. Your kids can be reading different level text. They can be choosing from a menu of options for assessments, and it's invisible. No one knows that that's going on except for you and that kid alone. And so you truly have personalized it with regard to the digital aspect. And again, I think you've just done an amazing job, and I'm so excited to be able to work with you as we progress through this plan. So Debbie's amazing. I hope you guys have the chance to pick her brain a little bit at some point. But we certainly appreciate everything that you're doing with us, and once again, really excited about what the future holds for us. Thanks, Debbie.
Thank you.